Yes, people, what's going on? We're back, man. Joined today with my boy, man like Guni. Man talks football. What's going on, my bro? You good?
All good, my guy. All good, my guy. Just a slight correction there. Is man knows football, but what difference does it make? Because I'm not really uploading on the channel like that, bro. Work's killing me. You get me? But it's good to be here. It's my debut on your channel, and like a lot of you probably don't know, but me and Don have interesting conversations on the WhatsApp and the group chats and all that kind of stuff. We have our differences, so this is definitely going to be a good one. Definitely going to be a good show, man. Make sure you smash that like. Make sure you subscribe. Don't be a waste man or waste lady. You get me? So make it happen.
Perfect. And listen, bro, appreciate you, man, because I know obviously you're quite busy with work and stuff. Time zones are different. You live in New York, innit?
New York City, yeah, bro.
Yeah. Wait, how long you lived there for?
10 years now. 10 years.
10 years?
Yeah.
You know, bro. How come you moved there? Like, what? Do you mind sharing that on the show, like, or?
Just to really keep it brief. I came here on a holiday in 2012. Met my now wife, and yeah, we just wanted to make it happen. So I moved over here, and I haven't left since, bro. You know what I mean? I'm still here. Worked. She's given me 2 beautiful kids, an amazing marriage, so I can't really complain. You get me?
Nah, love, man. And listen, we've got a few people in the chat already. Big up Saeed, man. Big up the brothers. Big up my bro. Big up Keith. Big up Don. Big up my bro. You got man like TB, bro. You need to DM me and let me know how to pronounce your name, bro, because I don't want to keep mispronouncing your name, innit? DM me, voice note me.
I think it's Tebe. I think it's mate. It sounds. It could be South African. I hope I'm not wrong. I really
it's a South African name, Tebe Selefe. But bro, DM me on Twitter, innit? My DMs are open, and just voice note me and let me know. So I'm not saying your name wrong here, but big yourself up. Guni, the biggest Jackson hater in the Northern Hemisphere. Don't worry, we're gonna speak because, like Guni has said, listen, we go back and forth in the group chat about certain things, innit? Like certain things I hear Guni, like when he complains, and then there's certain things that we disagree on. Do you know what I'm saying? For me, I feel like Guni's a little bit polarized at times with things. Me, I like to be a little bit more fair, but I hear it. It's annoying. It's frustrating when you've grown up watching world-class players and you've had an owner like Roman. You're going to have certain standards in it. Do you know what I'm saying? So I fully hear it. But again, today we'll chop it up on the players. But big up yourself, Tabi, every time, my bro. Joseph, big up Don and Guni. Big up, my bro. And you got man like Jay as well. Big up Don, man. But listen, no better way than starting off with what we witnessed yesterday at Selhurst Park, bruv. Yeah? Seeing these red devils, red minions, whatever they would call themselves these days. Shocking. Abysmal performance. Listen, before the game, I'll be real with you, yeah? I said Palace are going to win the game. I said they're going to be comfortable. It's going to be a comfortable win. But 4-0, bro. 4-0, man. What did you think of yesterday? Did you watch it, first of all?
Yeah, I did. I was able to catch that. Just don't tell my managers at work. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, I was able to watch the game. When I saw the lineup, immediately, like I think as most of us really thought, like when you saw the centre-back pairing of Johnny Evans and Casemiro, you knew what time it was, especially the fact that Crystal Palace had, a Mateta who's banging form, also Olise and Eze in the lineup as well. And Palace are quite unfortunate to have either one or both of them at the same time injured, but they had them ready for obviously the United game, playing at Selhurst Park as well. So it was always going to be a difficult challenge for Manchester United. But I thought that Palace were definitely going to win the game. Again, just down to United's defensive frailties from what we were seeing. Onana as well was a goalkeeper that, number one, I'm glad that we swerved him. And number two, I've had a lot of reservations about him, and he proved why yesterday that he's not to be trusted. So I'm not really too shocked that they lost, but 4-0 was an absolute battering. And I want to give a special shout out to Saeed because I watched that stream right after the game with the 10 face. Saeed was absolutely fuming, bruv. Yeah. So Saeed, I hope you understand the pain that I've been going through with Chelsea, bro, because it felt like you were starting to understand yesterday. But it was mad. It was crazy, man, yesterday. Olise absolutely balled out, bro. Olise out. Mateta done well. Eze as well done well. Some of the link up play, the intricate 1-2s, man, which is beautiful to see, man. Some street football on display, bruv. So I didn't game. Yeah, I enjoyed it.
It was legit South London cage football, bro. Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? That's what it was yesterday, man. And I'm happy. I'm happy. I'm seeing these sort of results at the minute from United because listen, I've been going back and forth with a lot of United fans this season, innit? From pre-season Guni, I told these lot, yeah, or never a foul. I told Cass, I told Ty, big them up as always, yeah. But these lot were saying, "Oh, we're going to finish second." Let me not say these lot. Cass said they're going to finish second, yeah. And I told these lot, United are not going to finish above Chelsea. Obviously, at the minute, we've improved a little bit. We'll get into that, and I'm still not overly confident, but we're in a good position to hopefully finish the season above them. But I said to them, yeah, for me, I think we've got a deeper squad with more quality. And for me, at the time, I was looking at it thinking, yo, we potentially have a better coach that can potentially do something. Do you know what I mean? And when I watched United last season, bro, I'll be real. They got bailed out a lot because of Rashford, bro. Rashford bailed them out of a lot of games. There were so many games I was watching last year, bro. I'm seeing teams missing bare chances against them. You know, bare chances against them. De Gea was making some good saves here and there, but he was letting in some poor shots as well at the same time. Do you know what I mean? But I said, listen, I saw a lot of red flags last season. So this year, I'm seeing how they're playing. I wasn't surprised by it. Obviously, I didn't expect it to be this bad in terms of injuries and whatnot, but it's been bad. These performances have finally caught up with them because they've been scamming their way through the league this season. Scamming their way through the league, bro. Do you know what I mean? And it's finally caught up with them, bro.
Yeah, that's it. United, the way I see it, and I echo what Saeed says, is United have been found out. I just feel like they're where they should be because, quite like you said, you know, a lot of bailouts last season. There's no De Gea to make the super saves anymore. Rashford is not in the form that he was in last season. Also, as well, I think yesterday, as much as I really don't rate the player as much as some might, but you could clearly see that they miss Bruno Fernandes as well. So United definitely they've been found out this season. They've got a couple more tough fixtures that they've got coming up. I know they've got Arsenal, I believe, on Sunday. I think they still got to play Newcastle. I'm just off the top of my mind, I'm not sure. So it might get worse for them. It might definitely get worse for them. And I think the issue with United is now deeper than the squad. It's quite similar to how I feel about Chelsea. So in terms of now, they've got an issue with the manager. I think his position there should be untenable if it's not already. I think there needs to be a massive clear out in that United squad. And also as well with Ineos coming in, I think that's made quite a few players uncertain about their future. So, you know, when that happens and players know that they don't have a future at the club, some of them may or may not start to down tool. So it's not a good end to the season for Manchester United whatsoever. And if they're not careful, they can find themselves in a worse position than 8th place.
Yeah, facts. And listen, for me, again, during the season, I said for me, United have a lot more work to do than us because when I look at my team in comparison to theirs, as much as I don't think these men are Chelsea level, most of them, I still look at them and think, yo, these men can cook a little something. Do you know what I'm saying? You know, like when you go downstairs, Guni, I was saying to Andrew the other day, yeah, you know, you go downstairs, you look in the cupboard and you haven't got everything that you want, but there's a few ingredients in there where you can cook something up. Do you know what I'm saying? When I look at United, I'm looking at a bunch of players like Rashford, you know, on over 300k a week. How are you going to get rid of him? Who's realistically going to want to come in and pay that money? You're only looking at PSG, really, because no one in the league is going to pay more than 300k a week, in my opinion. From what we've seen this season, it'll be very, very risky to do that, yeah? You've got Anthony on over 200k a week as well, and a long-term contract. How are they going to shift him? And for me, he's the worst Premier League signing. I don't think we'd see anything worse than potentially Lukaku, but we have now. He's the worst Premier League signing, that guy, Anthony, bro. I'm telling you. You know? So as much as Ineos need to make a lot of changes, I don't think it's going to be as easy as what a lot of these United fans think. With us, we cleared out a lot of players because a lot of these guys checked out. They wanted to leave. Obviously, you've got a few of them at United as well, but there's a few like Anthony and Rashford who, in my opinion, are going to be quite hard to move on. Do you know what I'm saying? Because of wages and how long they've got on their contract and whatnot. But it's going to be interesting. Like I said, they've got a lot of work to do. Whereas for us, I think we've got a more of a shape-up. There's a shape-up that needs to take place in this team rather than blowing up the whole team. You might disagree, obviously, because, again, we'll get into that in terms of the players. But, you know, moving on to Chelsea now, like, you know, like the title says there, what do you think has rejuvenated Chelsea at the minute? How are you feeling about Chelsea at the minute? Because the past 3 games, there's been a clear improvement in the performances. I'm sure you can agree with that as well. Do you know what I'm saying?
100%. I mean, listen, I say what I say about Chelsea. and it's not agenda driven. I believe it or not, people actually, I speak my mind. I say what I think about the Chelsea squad. There's definitely been an improvement over the past, handful of games. But for me, I'm very much of the sense of I need to see longevity when it comes to consistency before my mind can be turned. You know what I mean? So listen, it's all positive right now. We've got opportunities to move up the table. I'm sure some of us are eyeing possibly Europa League spots. Tottenham are falling like a stone right now. 4 losses in a row. They've got Manchester City this week. They could easily fall below 5th where they are. Newcastle, they are playing well, so it might be difficult to leapfrog them. I'm not sure who else is above us. I've missed the team, but
Newcastle, Spurs, you've got obviously Villa. They're too far gone.
They're too far gone. Yeah, I'm not really counting Villa in this. I think they're way too far gone. But all we can really do is just focus on the games that we've got left and make sure that we win them. But definitely, there's been good patterns of play. I do think Cucurella inverting, which is something that's not new in my opinion. I think I've seen this before with Cucurella, but him inverting and helping out that midfield has been very helpful in terms of giving some more kind of grit in that midfield, because he's a very physical type of defender, likes to get into his challenges, can be a bit rash sometimes, but it does help. It does help in that midfield sometimes when we're short or we're lacking that little bit of athleticism, or Caicedo's isolated to do the physical jobs himself. It does help massively. On top of that, the attack seemed to be clicking a lot better as well. Cole Palmer is Cole Palmer. Nicholas Jackson's is getting goals. But yeah, it's looking all right at the minute. But again, with me, there needs to be some longevity. I need to see longevity before I actually start turning around and saying, what, maybe we're starting to make that turn to get up to the next level, compete for top 4 and hopefully go even further than that. But again, I can't. If I was to say, everyone, we've been playing shit, we're not that good, that would be hating. Right now, we've been playing well, man, and we've been scoring volumes of goals. That's what we've been asking for. So it's a bit late in the season, but better late than never. You know what I'm saying?
And another thing as well, bro. Back-to-back clean sheets. Not long ago, we was conceding 8 goals in a week, and that. You know what I'm saying? It's bad. And listen, that leads me to the next thing I was going to ask you, bro, because big up Ravage here saying the system is finally good, which makes these players look good. And me and you have gone back and forth many times in the group chat about some of these players, because for you, you've given me a whole list, bro, a long list, like a scripture, where you said this guy needs to go, this guy needs to go, that guy needs to go. Basically, you would get rid of everyone, And I've told you week after week, Listen, Guni, I'm with you. These guys are not clinical. Jackson's not good in front of goal. Mudryk is very inconsistent. Madueke, mentality, very inconsistent. Badia Show, looking like a mess this season. Enzo Fernandez, looking just average this season. I've agreed with you on a lot of these things, but I've also said to you, bro, the way that these men are set up to play, it doesn't allow them to thrive. It doesn't allow them to play like what we've been seeing in the past 3 games. So do you think that you've been a little bit harsh on these guys, bro, like this season with your takes on most of them?
Again, just based on what I said about, long periods of time, I think not, in my personal opinion, not yet. Like, they still have a lot to prove to me, in terms of
you can argue that they've showed us in certain games this season. Like when we played Arsenal, set up correctly, we played well. Man City, both games, even at away, when we played them away, when we played them at Wembley a few weeks ago, was set up correctly, we played well. So there's been a few games this season where like you're looking at it and thinking, yo, why can't we do that more consistently? But in the following week, Poch will go away from it. Do you know what I'm saying? That's why I'm asking you, like, do you think that you've been a little bit too harsh? Because it's not like they've been set up in a system where it's been like what we're seeing now consistently, what we're seeing in pre-season. Then I can be more on your side and say, yo, listen, these men are being set up correctly. They're not going out there and doing the job. But as much as the players need to do more, I've been saying Poch needs to do more. You need to have that same logic with Poch as well. He should be able to do more in terms of the lineups, the in-game management, not playing people out of position. So I'm going to ask you again, bro. I don't want you to say you want to see more. I know you want to see more in terms of saying, okay, cool. I want to, okay, I need to see more to say if we've actually turned a corner. I'm not saying we've turned the corner at the minute. I'm asking if you feel that you've been a little bit too harsh on these players, because the way you talk about them, bro, it's as if they're useless, in my opinion. I'll be real. It's like they can't do nothing at all, bro. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, perhaps, yeah. Do you know what? I'd say a portion of it is an emotional response. They're not useless. Let's have it right. They're not useless. And again, people don't get it twisted. I'm not absolving Poch of any wrongdoing, because he's had a lot to do with some of these performances as well. A lot of the performances that we've seen this season, I do put down to the manager, which is why I'm not really a fan of keeping Pochettino. But I'm sure that's a conversation we're going to have in this stream. But my thing is that sometimes, coming away from Pochettino, there's individual moments where the manager can't account for, and it's down to the player. And I feel like if we had been either more decisive or, like you said, clinical in front of goal, we would, number one, we would be a bit higher in the table. I honestly think that we'd at least have a Europa League spot right now. And number two, we should be in a cup final. Now, these are the things for me, especially at a club like Chelsea, that differentiate whether you are of the level and you're of the standard to be playing at the club. Like, it's all well and good. Listen, fair play to Jackson. He's in the double figures of scoring goals. I never saw it coming, so he's proven wrong.
Bro, in his debut season. And if you're serious, he'll be going bar for bar with Haaland, bro. Over 20 big chances missed, bro.
This is what I'm saying. But then here's my thing. The volume of goals is one thing, but the occasion of when you score the goals is a bigger thing for me. So, for example, the FA Cup semi-final, we should have been going through and playing in the final against Manchester United. And for me, I feel like we would have had a big chance to lift the trophy this season. Right. It's those moments like that where we're not taking opportunities in the big occasion that makes me question these players. You know what I mean? Because when you're at Chelsea, you're there to be playing and to be winning trophies. So you need to have the composure and the confidence to, whenever that opportunity is presented to you, you take the opportunity. Part of being a big player, part of being a top quality player is sometimes you might not get as much possession as you want in the game. But when those decisive moments come to you, you take those decisive moments. Erling Haaland is a massive example of that. A lot of people will say his all-round game is not there. All right, that's cool. But as a striker, you give him that decisive moment, one-on-one in front of goal in a big game, more times out of 10, you're going to be confident that he scores that goal. That's what we got. That's what we need at Chelsea. That's what we need. That's what we desperately miss. So when I criticize the players, I'm criticizing them within relation to the club that I'm talking about. And Chelsea, for me, is a club that should be consistently competing. If you're not going to be consistently competing, you need to be able to show me on a weekly basis that you are not far from it. You know what I'm saying? Maybe it might come. Listen, maybe it might come. Maybe Poch will go. Maybe we'll get another, top class manager that will come in and be able to, quote unquote, unlock that ability for these players to be decisive and clinical in moments where they need to. But as of now, I'm just not seeing it often enough for me to be able to stand 10 toes and say, yeah, we need to keep the majority of this squad, especially when I know that there are other players that are out there that could step into those shoes and actually fulfill that. You know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing. And listen, you're spot on with that. And for me, like I've said, that's why I haven't been going too over the top on a lot of these guys. Like I've said, for me, Jackson, he shouldn't be starting for Chelsea. In an ideal world, I'm not starting him. I'm going to start like an Osimhen ahead of him, Gyökeres if we had him, you know, Tony ahead of him if we had him. But unfortunately, the reality is they went and signed him and they didn't sign anyone else. But then if I take it back to last summer, bro, the striking market was dead. Tony had a ban. Harry Kane, it was like, Chelsea are interested, but very unlikely that was going to land him, obviously, with the whole Spurs connection. So he ended up going to Bayern. Who else did you have, bro? Osimhen wasn't going to go anywhere. The market was very, very dead. And you know how Chelsea fans are, bro. If you want to sign just a random guy that no one's ever heard of, you'll be one of the guys screaming and say, who the hell is this guy? And where the hell did we find it? So you have to take that into context as well. Like the striker market last season was dead. Yeah, but what I have said is in January, we should have at least brought someone in on loan. That's a good finisher. Funny enough, I spoke about Sims. The guy that plays for Everton, Coventry, bro. Yeah. When Coventry played United, I actually tweeted and said, I would have taken Sims on loan. People were laughing at me. And I just reminded them what he did to us last season when he came off the bench and he dunked on our ass. Koulibaly. Remember Koulibaly had a good game. He came on straight away. He done up Koulibaly, bro. And this year he's been scoring a lot of goals. I'm not saying he's the answer. I'm just saying he would have been a better option up top, finishing wise, because Jackson's had the opportunities. And for me, bro, listen, I go to a lot of games, bro. I went to the game in the final when we lost against Liverpool. Again, we're missing a lot of chances that game. In the extra time, Poch decided to just sit back and let them play their game. And then again, like you're saying, against Man City, we missed a lot of chances. So for me, bro, I get frustrated just like everyone else. I was screaming, cussing in the ground, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? But for me, bro, at least I can see where they can go again in the summer and rectify a lot of these mistakes. It's very, very clear when you're watching Chelsea this season. Like you've said, if we had an actual striker, as shit as we are as a system, and we don't play like a team, we win a lot more games. But for me, that paper's over the cracks, bro. Because I care about performances as much as I care about results. Do you know what I mean? I tell people all the time, bro, if you only care about results, don't watch your team, bro. At the end of the game, just check. Go check on your phone. What did your team win? Did your team lose? Did they draw? Do you know what I mean? For me, I get my belief, I get my confidence from performances. Do you know what I'm saying? So when rivals keep telling me, oh, but you lot miss a lot of chances, I'm like, bro, we miss chances. But in the game, when I'm watching us, it's basically Cole Palmer FC. Everything goes through Cole Palmer because he's the only one that can actually work in chaos. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's where I've been getting onto Poch a lot, you know? And that brings me onto Poch now, bro, because a lot of people have been asking me now, like, yo, what do you think of Poch? Do you think he should get more time? You know, would you keep him on past this season now after what you've been seeing? What would you do with Poch, bro? How are you feeling about Poch at the minute? Do you think he deserves a bit more time?
I don't feel he deserves more time. I think Poch has proven to us on more than a handful of occasions that tactically he will get things wrong. And you already know the Premier League is a very unforgiving league, bro. Like once you fall behind, it's very, very hard to catch up. And in terms of the squad and the state of the squad, the age of the squad, development is the most important thing right now. And obviously in development, what you want to see is progress. You don't want to see stagnation, or you don't want to see regression. And I feel that with the naivety that Pochettino does show or has shown throughout this season, I think it will be a very big risk to keep him for next season. If there's definitely a better manager available, Chelsea need to do whatever it takes to go and get that manager and bring him to the club. But you see, one thing I will say about Pochettino is his man management seems to be very good. He does seem to have a good relationship with the players. But listen, football's not about emotion. Do you know what I mean? A portion of it is keeping your players happy and so on and so forth. But really and truly, at the end of the day, it's about getting results and finishing as high as possible and getting as much silverware as possible. If you're not going to do that, or if you're showing signs where you're perhaps not going to get one of the major trophies, you have to go. You do have to go. So that's my thoughts on Pochettino.
Exactly, bro. And for me, listen, if it's up to me, I'm moving him on. Yeah, I would move him on and bring someone else in, because he's just made one too many basic mistakes, Guni, where I'm looking at it and thinking, yo, I could just see this manager doing some madness again next season if we keep him. Let's say we get to a final and he decides to tell these lot to sit back and play for penalties again. You know what I mean? Let's say we have a lot of injuries and all of a sudden he's playing people out of position again. You know,
exactly.
Let's say we're playing Brentford and he decides to play two attackers instead of playing an attacking team against a team that lost 10 out of their 12 games. Do you know what I mean? In-game management, shocking, you know? And the solution has been in his face, bro, from pre-season. We were seeing Cucurella inverting in pre-season. If you remember, Cucurella, he got an assist. I think it was against Newcastle in pre-season. He played it over the top to Jackson, yeah? And Jackson scored that one-on-one. That was from Cucurella, bro. You know what I mean? But then this manager decided to go away from it, play Levi Colwill, one of the best young left centre-backs in the league last season. Liverpool were after him. De Zerbi was crying for this guy, but he decided to play him out of position when you had Maatsen right there, who could have been doing the Cucurella role. Because Cucurella at the beginning of the season, he was basically like third choice behind Chilwell as well. Do you know what I'm saying? So for me, it's taken a little bit too long for this manager to realize that he had a solution there to actually help these guys play a bit better, you know? And for me, bro, I've barely even spoken about injuries this season, because even with the injuries, bro, we've still had enough for him to work with. You know what I mean? There's only been a few games where I've looked at it and thought, we've got no right back today. It might end up being Disasi. But even then, I'm looking at it and thinking, yo, go bring me Achimpong from the youth team, because you seem to like all these tall players. Every time I watch this guy, when I look at this guy on the clips and that, he's tall, bro. And he came on the other day. He got the most blocks in like 10 minutes. Yeah, and that's between Chelsea and Spurs. You know what I'm saying? So he's good at anticipating danger. So for me, I'm looking at it and thinking, yo, Santos, that's another situation there. Santos, you know, deciding to bring back Caicedo, a box crasher, when you've got so many options that can play in that role, and then you're leaving Enzo and Caicedo by themselves basically? Because Leslie, where the hell's Leslie been, bro? Does Leslie even exist, bro? You know, Lavia has been injured all season. You know, you bring back Caicedo. I'm thinking, yo, why? Why? Santos could have done a job. He goes Strasbourg, all of a sudden he's balling out, getting young player of the month, getting League One young player of the month and whatnot. Transform their midfield. Matson, another decision, crazy decision that he made there. Decided not to play him because of height. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm still very skeptical. And like you said earlier, bro, I need to see more. This is not enough. Even if we get into the top 6 and we perform like this, I'll be like, cool. At least it's something that we can build from, and hopefully it'll be good in pre-season and whatnot. Because, bro, I wanted Poch. You know what I'm saying? I wanted this guy to come in for the young players, but he's embarrassed me. He's had me fighting for my life against people like you that keep calling these players all rubbish. You know, waste of space. Enzo's this and Enzo's that. And I'm thinking, yo, you lot are not seeing what this manager's doing to these guys, you know? So I'm just hoping and praying that this is a wake-up call to him. I know it's taken so long, but if it does end up staying, we have to support end of the day, and we have to hope that he carries on. You know what I mean? But what do you think that he needs to do now if it does end up staying? Because if he does get top 6, bro, very likely he's going to stay in it. So what do you think he needs to do to bring you over to his side, bro, and make
before I do answer that question, I also do want to emphasize that, and I've said this on many streams, that I do not think that every single thing that's wrong with the squad is down to Pochettino. I don't think. And I actually do think that Pochettino is the smallest problem in a bigger picture. And what I exactly mean by that is I still do have questions about the squad, but even more, I have massive questions about the recruitment team. I think the recruitment team that we have, except Joe Shields, are horrible, and I feel that they need to go. And another one is also the owners of the club, because they're the ones that are hiring these people. So in certain situations, I do feel Pochettino has been handicapped due to the lack of quality or lack of experience within the squad, and that massively does need to be addressed. So it'll be interesting to see what direction it goes this summer, because we are hearing rumblings here and there on social media that Chelsea are willing to relax the under-25 policy. So we'll see how true that is. But that definitely needs to be done. And even still, when you are doing that, what level of quality are you looking to bring to Chelsea? Because a lot of the signings that we have made after we've sold some of our players, in my honest opinion, a lot of them haven't been upgrades on the players that have left. That definitely needs to be addressed, 100%. But in terms of what Pochettino needs to do to win me on side, there's a lot. There's a lot that needs to happen. And remember, rightly or wrongly, I'm an old school Chelsea fan. Do you know what I mean? So for me, there's always that feeling in the back of my mind that this man is ex-Spurs. So he's going to have to work that extra bit harder for me to even think about getting on side. You know what I'm saying? But in terms of that, he's number one. He's definitely got to get his personnel right in terms of his starting 11. He's got to get his bench right as well. He's got to get his substitutions right. He needs to learn when to make changes and not wait too late. Perhaps being
so reactive
rather than proactive in game situations. He's definitely got to get players playing in their natural positions. And if he can help it, obviously injuries are a massive variable in this. He's got to get these players to be. You know, he needs to know his first 11, and he needs to be able to get them to play a consistent level of games, because that's never good. That's never good for development when you've got like a Levi Colwill, naturally a left centre back. You're playing him at left back. You've got Ben Chilwell. I mean, he's much later on in his career, but then you're bringing him on, and then you're playing him at left wing when you've got natural wingers on the bench. It doesn't make sense, and also it throws doubt into some.
Your boy playing Enzo as a 10. Playing Enzo as a 10 as well.
I'm saying there's no level of consistency in some of his decisions. So he needs to be able to figure out his first 11. If they stay fit, he needs to have consistency in terms of their number one, their playing time, and number two, their playing position. That must happen. Yeah,
exactly. And listen, big up Fats as well. He said here, I'm still worried about the balance in the squad. It's not just about having options, but having the right ones for each situation. What do you think of that comment, man, Guni there? Because for me, I hear that to an extent, but end of the day, this guy is being paid 10 million a year, right? 10 million a year, and he's got a huge variety of players to pick from, even with injuries. Like I said, he's still got a huge wide of players to pick from. I know we haven't really got any striking options. Then again, he could have given Washington more opportunities. People will laugh and say, "Who the hell was David Washington?" But how I look at it, Guni, for someone like that, I think, we went and signed this guy for like 17 million. He was breaking through at Santos. He would have had so much game time if we just left him alone. We bring him here and we just leave him on the bench, and then we leave him in the 23s. He's scoring every game when he plays in the 23. So clearly he's too good for that level. Why not just play him, bro? He's there. Use it.
Either play him or loan him back. But in terms of playing a player like David Washington, I think he's way too early in his career to be playing for Chelsea. I think it's way too early. I think, if Chelsea were going to make that move, they should have perhaps agreed, we're going to sign this player, but we're going to keep him at your club for an extra season or maybe 2 extra seasons on loan so we can develop. Or what I would have thought was better is, we sign him, he does come over to Europe, but make sure you facilitate a loan move for him in one of the other leagues, perhaps Portugal, perhaps France, perhaps Germany, where he's getting consistent game time. So that's my concern. But Fats isn't wrong. But I think a lot of that as well, Fats, does come down to the recruitment, because they're the ones that are supposed to be identifying the profile of players that are needed for the squad. I massively agree, like depending on certain games that you play, because different teams play in different ways, you might need a different style of player to be able to, unlock or find success against that other team. When you've got too many similar profiles in the team and making like-for-like substitutions, you're not really addressing the issue too much. You know what I'm saying? So I do think he's right, but that does come down to recruitment.
Yeah, no, facts. And listen, big up Freddie. This one here, he hates Enzo as well, man. He thinks, he's one of the guys that says, we're winning games and we're looking a lot more balanced because Enzo's now out of the midfield. Obviously, you're someone that's been criticizing Enzo a lot, and you told me that you'd sell him, you'd get rid of him as well. So what do you really think about this, Guni? Like, do you think that we're playing better now because Enzo's been taken out of the midfield? Do you think that's been the biggest change for you?
I think that's, honestly speaking, it might surprise you. I think that's a bit of a lazy explanation. I do think that Enzo being in this team wouldn't have really made a difference. I still think we would have made we still would have been playing well, because in Enzo's defense, let's have it right, this guy has done some brilliant things on the pitch, but that have perhaps been overlooked because he's not been rewarded for some of his work that he's done. Like, again, I have to point to the FA Cup final. Some of the balls that this guy was playing, perhaps 1 or 2 of those should have been converted into goals, and unfortunately they weren't. And we've been seeing it in quite a few occasions this season. Maybe if, and this is why I feel sorry for certain midfielders or certain attacking midfielders or those creative type of players, is that they have the right ideas, they execute it correctly, but the person who's in charge of putting the ball in the back of the net doesn't always do it. So then what ends up happening naturally is the fans forget. They don't remember these balls that have been played and the balls that haven't been converted. So in terms of that, I do feel sorry for Enzo Fernandez. But my issue with Enzo is 2 things. The first thing, again, I've got to emphasize, is not his fault. The price tag, £105 million. When you're paying that kind of money for a player, you have the right to have certain expectations of that player. You have the right to see, if you're paying that kind of money, that's Jude Bellingham money. That's top potential elite player kind of money. You're expecting to see certain levels of performances week in, week out. For me, my issue with Enzo is that I was seeing maybe 1 in 4 games, 1 in 5 games where there was exceptional performances. I need to see them a lot more frequently. Now, a lot of people will say, Enzo's been playing injured for the majority of the season. If that's the case, that's a question for the manager. Then why are you playing? Why are you insisting on playing this guy if you know he's got a hernia injury or wherever it may be? So that there isn't his fault. But I do think sometimes I do feel, and again, it might tie down to the injury, but even before the injury, I had my suspicions that his athleticism might not be to the standard that it needs to be in the Premier League. And that necessarily isn't always a bad thing if you've got the brain up here. If you can think faster, especially in the midfield, if you can think faster than everybody else, then athleticism shouldn't be an issue. So that's what he needs to work on. If he can't get back in time, or if he can't drive forward with enough pace, then he needs to start working up here on being faster than everyone else. And another thing is with Enzo as well, is that individual things outside of him being used in different positions, there's certain simple 5-yard passes, 6-yard passes, 10-yard passes that are just going astray that he should be making. Exactly. You know what I mean? And there's no way in this world where, like, no disrespect to the man, because he's been playing very well for Chelsea and he's improved as the season's gone. Conor Gallagher should not be the best performing midfielder in this team, especially with the amount of money that we've spent in the pivot behind him. It shouldn't be the case. So I think that's quite damning for Enzo Fernandez. Now, in terms of me saying sell Enzo, I do admit that is a bit of an emotional response at times. Yeah, I mean, I could be like that. Football,
I hear it.
It's emotional, but he's got a lot to convince me. He's got to do a lot to convince me. And the reason why I say at those moments in time, when I think of other players that are out there, like one player that I really like and I have liked since before he moved to Inter was Barella. I'm thinking, bro, like we could just, why did we sign this guy? We could have gone for Barella and perhaps he might have even been a little cheaper than Enzo Fernandez. We spent £105 million on Enzo. Maybe if we'd gone to Inter and we'd said, listen, here's £80 million, £90 million, because they're not in the best financial position, we could have perhaps got a player like Nicolo Barella. And do you know what I mean? And he definitely would have been able to put in a good shift. You know what I'm saying? So it's based on those little things. But another thing is this: is like a lot of people in the chat like will say, "Oh, you're a hater." Again, very lazy answers and very lazy statements. I personally, there's nothing more that I want for these players to prove me wrong and to make me look stupid. Do you know why that is? Because it's beneficial for the club if that happens, and that's why I'm here. And that's what I care about. I love Chelsea same way as you love Chelsea. Sometimes people take a different route to get to their destination. You know what I'm saying? And the destination for all of us is for us to be able to go back to the days where we're competing on all fronts. That's what I want. So if I see things and I'm convinced that there can be another solution to take us closer to that destination, of course, I'm going to speak it. Some of you might agree. Some of you might disagree. So that's why my stance is how it is.
Yeah, listen, and you've said a lot there that I agree with, innit? But for me, like the biggest problem that I've got within the fan base and even just with rivals is how they just try to scapegoat Enzo after everything. You know, one of the first things that you mentioned, bro, is that people forget some of the chances that Enzo creates for guys. You know, I remember like I was driving home from the semi-final and I'm seeing a few people putting streams up saying Enzo poor performance, and I'm thinking, yo, what the hell did you lot watch? Yeah, because when I was watching that game, I was seeing that we were keeping a very good shape in the midfield. City had to literally go wide and bring on Doku. That's what changed the game for them, because in the midfield, they weren't able to do nothing. And like you said, Enzo played some good passes. That good pass for Jackson, bro. I'm sitting there behind the goal. I'm looking, yo, use your left foot. The guy decides to just, I don't know what he was doing, bro. Do you know what I'm saying? So every single time, my problem is every time we lose, they go straight to Enzo Fernandez. It feels like Pogba part 2, bro. Every single time, Enzo.
And you know what, Don? Naturally, that's going to happen again because of something that is outside of his power, and that's his price tag. Do you know what I mean? The price tag.
People need to understand, though. People need to understand. Listen. I don't look at Enzo like 105 million midfielder, right? If you look at Declan Rice and you look at Enzo Fernandez, you can understand the context between the two. Declan Rice, you spend 105 million. Arsenal spend 105 million because of his CV, because they're paying for that ability. With Enzo Fernandez, we paid 105 million because that was above his release clause, and they didn't want to get rid of him in that January, bro. But if you talk about his market value at the time was probably worth about 50 million or something like that, right? And if we waited until the summer, would have got him for a lot cheaper. But don't forget that we didn't make Europe. And don't forget that a lot of clubs wanted him. Real Madrid were looking at him. Man City were looking at him. Liverpool were looking at him. So we'd have had a lot of competition. And again, we've got no European football. So where's the guarantee that Enzo's going to come? And for me, Enzo is a niche profile. Yeah, the way he controls the game and dictates the game, you don't really get a lot of midfielders like that, really and truly, in this day and age. People can educate me and show me a few options, but for me, looking at the midfielders that play for big clubs or clubs that we know of, I wasn't really seeing many Enzos. Do you know what I'm saying? So that's why I was looking at him thinking, yo, this is a rare profile. Bring him in. Last season when he came in, again, in a different system where it's more controlled, more technical, more combinations around him, he looks a lot more comfortable. Same thing as Badiashile. This year, you put him in a system which is chaotic, ping pong football. You're going to get this Enzo Fernandez that looks like he can't run around and he's athletic because you're showing his weaknesses. And that's the problem. As a coach, the best coaches, they show a lot of the players' strengths and they minimize their weaknesses as much as they can. A lot of players have weaknesses, bro. A lot of players are weaknesses, a lot of weaknesses. But you don't really see much of it because they're playing under a Pep, for example. Or they're
That's
playing
true,
under
it's true.
For example. Do you know what I mean? So that's why I've got to look at it and think, yo, if you've got Enzo Fernandez trying to cover a lot of ground in the midfield, you've got Gallagher pressing up. He gets, they beat that press. Now it's Enzo over here. You've got Caicedo over here. What do you expect to happen? Caicedo's not an octopus. Enzo's not an octopus. I know these guys are South American, but they're human, bro. They ain't got 65 legs to be, coming back and doing a Paulinho. And that's where you got to be. That's where you got to be a little bit fair and look at how we've been set up. And like you said, bro, I've been one to criticize him. I remember in the final, bro, he kept getting the ball and losing it, and I kept looking at him and thinking, yo, it's got nothing to do with the system. He is just nervous. Do you know what I'm saying? He's nervous on the ball. I remember Newcastle at home when we just beat them recently. Very poor on the ball, bro. Burnley away, poor on the ball, giving the ball away, kicking it off the pitch. Do you know what I'm saying? So when Enzo plays badly, I criticize him. But when I can clearly see what's going on with the structure, I will always talk about it and make sure that I'm using that in my analysis of the game. You know what I mean? And for me, if Poch was inverting Cucurella with Enzo in the team, I think we'd do a lot better. You know, people would say, oh, you know, you're playing like this because Enzo's out of the team. And I keep telling them, different players bring different dynamics. Of course, Gallagher presses a lot more than Enzo. Gallagher's one of the best in Europe at pressing, not just in the Prem, in Europe at pressing and winning the ball back, right? But like you've said, with Enzo on the ball, it's a different dynamic. Less of our attacks will be breaking down, in my opinion, because the amount of times I'm seeing Gallagher getting the ball and just slipping or giving it away. There's an easy pass to make.
Yeah, this final ball is a problem. Yeah,
the final ball so poor. I can think of Enzo on the ball. Palmer made a run the other day when we played West Ham, yeah, and Palmer was screaming after. Enzo's making that pass. He's just gonna play it. But Gallagher, he ain't got that quality. So you have to look at it like that, bro. Different players bring different dynamics, and for me, the main difference in his team right now is inverting Cucurella. He's given that midfield a little bit more balance. Caicedo, bro. Talk to me about Caicedo, Guni, man. What this guy?
He's somebody that, you know, he's one of the players where I've said Caicedo is not good enough. Where he's not, even though like he started, he was a bit shaky. Condition of the squad obviously was a huge factor in my thinking, but on a game-to-game basis, the more he's starting to understand his role within this Chelsea squad, you can just see that he's becoming more integral week in, week out. I love how combative he is. I mean, sometimes he does get hearts racing. You know, so he does walk the line when he's on that yellow card, and you do think maybe his youth and inexperience might get him sent off here and there. But he's actually been doing well. And the thing is about Caicedo, he's not just a destroyer. He's a player that can also start transitions very, very well. I think he's really good at that, and that's something about his game that's quite underrated. I've been very happy with Caicedo, definitely. The times that I do see him struggle, again, it does go to the fact that, you know, perhaps the partner next to him in terms of Enzo is not as athletic as you would like him to be. So sometimes he does find himself isolated. Sometimes he does find himself drawing foul, making fouls, and so on and so forth. But I do think he's massively improved, and he's shown early stages that, you know, if we do build on what we have, or we do improve in certain areas, that he has to be a mainstay. If his development is going to continue how he's going now, he definitely has to be a mainstay, 100%. I've been impressed with Caicedo recently. One of the few players I've been impressed with.
Yeah, bro. And listen, for me, I said it start of the season. I told Monts that for me, his best position is going to be playing as an 8. Because for me, like, what I would do if Lavia was fit is play Lavia in the 6 and then play Enzo in an 8 and then play Caicedo on the other side as an 8, right? The guy that managed him in Ecuador before he joined Brighton, he spoke about Caicedo. He said we used to play him as an 8, box to box. Caicedo has spoken about it himself. He said he looks at Kante as his icon, and people think Kante's a DM. Kante was not a DM.
He was never
a DM, bro. He was a box to box midfielder, but he had about 65 legs. That's why people thought he used to be a DM. When in reality, he was box to box, and that's what Caicedo will bring to this team. I can see us, you know, scoring a lot more goals where we're counter pressing. You know, like the other day when we scored against Villa, where we won the ball high, and then Madueke just got on the end of it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're gonna see a lot of those goals because the way he counter presses, bro, and then he can just quickly get back and help, is A1. Is A1. Do you know what I'm saying? So listen, Caicedo, people that were saying, "Oh, you lot have been robbed," and this, that. It's just rivals, obviously, just doing the rival thing, innit? Just trying to make it out as if we got fleeced. But every single person that supported United, Man City, probably, you know, Arsenal, they all wanted Caicedo. They all wanted this guy. You know what I'm saying? So I'm glad that we're seeing a rejuvenated Caicedo. That's the theme of today, you know, rejuvenated Caicedo.
Yeah.
And Madueke as well, bro. You know, Madueke, listen, the other week, CB tried to clip me up. We did a little preview about the City game. And just to give you a little bit of context, bro, I was talking about how we can actually beat City. And I was speaking about the fact that they play centre-backs at fullback. And I said, for me, in the league, Madueke is one of the best attackers at taking on his man 1v1. Right? And that's something that I realized from last season. Because even when he came in last year, bro, if you go check the stats, he was completing the most take-ons per 90 minutes, and he only joined in January last season. Do you know what I'm saying? But he clipped me up, and people were trying to make it out as if I'm calling him the best winger in the world. When you talk about that specific attribute, bro, in terms of taking on his man, he's one of the best at it. And again, another thing came out the other day. Only Kudus and Doku are taking on their man more than him, bro. You know what I'm saying? So he's literally third in the league, third best in the league at doing it at the minute. You know, his end product is improving at the minute as well. I think last year it was quite bad. Like, I would see him just kick the ball into the net, bro. Or like there's an easy pass to make and he will just try to run again. He'll beat a man. He'll try to beat the next man. But at the minute, I'm seeing someone that's growing in confidence. You know, his decision-making is improving. And the end product, again, is improving as well. He scored another goal, got an assist as well. You know what I'm saying? So how are you feeling about Madueke at the minute, man? I think he's starting to step up a bit.
Decent performances recently. I still have questions about his mentality. Some of it, well, that's got to change. But then again, you know, another thing is, and I find myself doing it as well, is sometimes I don't think it's very fair to be questioning players' mentalities and how they are, because the reality of it is that we don't know them on a personal level. Do you know what I mean? So sometimes I do feel bad doing that. But in terms of certain signs that I've seen from him, sometimes it is a bit questionable. But down to his performances, yeah, he's been doing pretty well recently. In terms of me trusting him as that right winger as a staple, there's a long way to go in terms of that.
Would you still bring in Olise? Would you still bring him? 100%. 100%. Ahead of Madueke.
Without a shadow of a doubt, 100%. And this is the thing.
I agree, by the way.
This is we got to remember that as young as Olise is, he's got bags of experience in the Premier League. Absolute bags of it. My only concern with him would probably be his injury record. That would be my concern.
You know what, I mean, you say that, bro, but if you actually check his injury record, it's not bad, bro. It's
not that bad.
It's not bad. It's what it is. I was about to say City now. Palace, yeah, they kept rushing him back from injury because even Hudson got asked about this and he got angry in the presser because they kept asking him and he was like, listen, I got told that he was fine. He told me that he wanted to come off the bench and he's been injured again. So I think it's more of they haven't managed his injury correctly. But last season, bro, I'm sure he made a lot of it. I haven't really checked, but I've never really known Olise to be someone that gets injured like that. You know, it's only this season really that I've seen. But for me, yeah, I think in terms of creating chances, he's better at doing it than Madueke for me. That's one of his specialities. Finishing, he's more refined in terms of the finishing. I think Madueke is more dangerous in terms of taking on his man. It's not to say that Olise can't do it. He's got tech, bro. He can do it as well, yeah. But in terms of just running at guys, you know what I'm saying, like on the outside rather than cutting in, because Olise likes to cut in a lot. You know? He's different in how he plays. So I think it'll be good because they're similar but they're different. If that makes sense.
My thing as well is it also comes down to preference on the type of players that you like to watch. But what I love most about Michael Olise is just how technical this guy is. Yeah. I love technical. For me, like one of the most beautiful things in the game to see is a first touch. It's an elegant first touch. A lot of people's like goals and assists and that first touches are up there with me. And for me, it's at times watching this guy, it's like glue to his foot. And I love seeing things like that. And the reason why is because when you've got players that are that technical, their longevity is just that little bit longer. Because as you know, right, nobody can beat time, and the older that you get, perhaps you might lose pace, or perhaps you might have an injury that hinders your pace that you once had. But as long as you've got that technical ability to be able to put that ball wherever you want it to go, or to be able to place it where you want to go before you start your attack, that's going to give you that bit much more of a longevity. And that's what I see in Michael Olise. Like he's a natural footballer, and in terms of like an attacking profile, he's got everything that you need. And on top of that, he's also an ex-Cobham boy as well. His brother's still at the club. So he already knows Chelsea. He already knows Chelsea. He already knows, you know, one or two people that are already in the squad. So in terms of him coming in and that adapting process, of course, there's going to be a period of adapting to the system, but it's not going to be as long as perhaps as another winger. But yeah, with him, his playmaking, his vision, his threat on goal as well, set pieces as well.
His arrogance, like it's good arrogance because he knows how good he is. He backs it up.
That's the thing. Like, and this is another thing is like, as long as a player gets his foundations correct and he's strong at doing those and consistent, that's when I love to see the arrogance. That's when I love to see the tricks, because there's end product to them. There's a method to the madness, and that's what Michael Olise is. And I just think that he would elevate our attack just that little bit more. Imagine having, you know, you've got Olise, you've got Cole Palmer and these kind of players in
even add Madueke to that now as well.
Yeah.
Add him to that as well, bro.
This is the thing. Or even if Madueke is not starting, all right, then Olise is not starting this game. Now you've got Madueke that's coming in. Do you know what I mean? And
no one's blinking. No one's saying anything. You know what I'm saying?
This is the thing. And this is where I felt the recruitment team has let us down slightly, because you've got players like your Enzos, you've got players like your Caicedos. We have to remember that, yes, they're young players and there's still a trajectory of development that needs to happen for them. What they really should have done is accommodated that properly. And what I mean by that is that you should have had some players that have experience, that have played, you know, at the highest level of football, to be able to be there to mold them into the players that they potentially can be. One of the things that Caicedo said, and a massive decision for him to join Chelsea, is, like you said earlier, my idol's N'Golo Kante. I want to emulate what he did at the club. So why not keep Kante there for one more season, to be there with Caicedo, to sort of be his mentor on and off the field? I think that would be massively beneficial for him. These are things that we need in this Chelsea squad that we're massively missing, because at the moment it's youth learning from youth and youth learning from coaching staff that are no longer on the field playing football, or have never played football on the field. I'm not trying to negate their qualifications for being there, because you're at Chelsea for a reason. You're at a professional club for a reason. But just missing that aspect of experience in the league, playing recently and actually being there and doing it, I think it's very important for these players in terms of their development. 100%.
Perfect. I agree, bro. Listen, let's quickly go through the chat, man. Big up people. Got 86 people in the house. This is the most I've had, you know, watching, man. I think I had like 40 before that, but yeah, 86. We had about 90 at one point. Big up, and make sure that you're subscribing. Subscribe to Guni as well. I'll put his link in there in the description. But there's a question here, man. And it's interesting, Guni, because listen, at the minute, our right-hand side is getting mad congested, bro. Just to finish off, it's getting mad congested. Yeah. I'm seeing, obviously, at the minute that we're looking at Esteval. And listen, for me, bro, as much as I want to stay away from these young players, honestly, bro, when I watch this guy, the clips and that, the same feeling I got with Paez is the exact same feeling I get with him.
Esteval,
he looks serious. And then obviously you've got Kudus here as well, who in the summer accepted a contract with Chelsea, but was too bothered about what's his name? Was too bothered about Caicedo. We ended up lowballing them, and obviously West Ham swept up. And obviously Kudus the other day, bro, was the only one really that was being a pest against us. So many take-ons in that game, big up Abdegani. He says here, hey Don, do you think a player like Kudus would suit our system? And we saw Poch talking to him at the end of the game. What do you think of Kudus, man? Do you think that right now is that boat sailed, or would you still want to bring him in, maybe play him off the left? Obviously Mudryk ain't at the level yet, is he?
I'll talk about the saga that we had in the summer with Kudus. I was very, very excited when I thought we was going to sign him, and I was actually quite disappointed that he ended up going to West Ham, because now the obvious thing is that if we do rekindle our interest in the player, we're going to pay 2, maybe even 3 times the amount for the player. And remember as well,
he's got a release clause.
Oh, he's got a release clause. Interesting.
Yeah, but an FFP though, innit? So we're going to have to like. If we wanted to do that, it would have to basically do an Enzo, pay over, but then
But listen, no doubt about it. Very, very talented player. And I think he should definitely be at one of the top clubs, and he seems to be durable as well. He doesn't really seem to get that many injuries, and that's a great thing. Now, in terms of would I go for him in the summer? Perhaps for his role at Chelsea, I don't think it's a priority position right now. So I personally would say, like, if we're gonna go for that kind of profile, I feel like we should be a bit more ambitious. A lot of people do say, and I've had this. Listen, this is a pure agenda, and it's just let me be delusional in this situation, please, people in the chat. I've said, if anything, you're looking for that kind of profile, go to Bayern Munich and go and get our boy back. Just go and get our boy back. I know Manchester City are interested, but that's the boy that you overpay for. Go and bring me back
Musiala. I'm taking him all day, every day, bro.
That's what I'm trying to say. So when you're talking about profiles, now, when you're talking about profiles that you don't necessarily need or like that are not priorities at your club, the only ones that make sense is when you're going for elite talent. And Musiala is definitely one of them. You know what I mean? So there's two, perhaps three players of that profile that I would go for ahead of Kudus. No, actually two. Musiala and Florian Wirtz. Those are the only two that I would go for. Next in that bracket would be definitely a Kudus or perhaps a Xavi Simons, one of those two as well. But for me, if we're talking that position, go to Bayern Munich, overspend, go and bring back Musiala now.
Yeah, just to finish off then, yeah, like what positions do you think right now are like key? And obviously, again, in an ideal world, you would clear out the squad and then go again. But we've clearly seen, yeah, the whole structure and what Poch is doing is actually helping these guys, right? So there's a lot of players here that we can work with. But what key positions do you want to upgrade on, and who would you actually want to bring in those positions? How many are we saying here?
Non-negotiables for me is that spine. Spine massively needs to be addressed. Goalkeeper has become more and more of a priority for me. I cannot stand Robert Sanchez. I don't know what he's doing at Chelsea Football Club. I want him out of the club. Petrovic, I've always said, even when he had that patch of good performances, I said, this guy, I still don't think he's ready. At best right now, I think he should be a backup goalkeeper. Who would I sign for that position? I've always liked Diogo Costa of Porto. And it's not just this season. If you go on my channel from like 2 years back, I've been talking about this guy. So I'm a bit informed about him.
I was impressed when I watched him against Arsenal, to be fair. I liked what I saw, to be fair. But I need to see more. I need to see more, though. I've got a little plug, yeah. You see this summer? I'm going to do a lot of scouting. I'll talk to you backstage. I've got a little, yeah.
Yeah, you got to let me know about that. We've been loosely linked with this Beto guy from Brazil. I've only seen a handful of performances from him. But from what I've seen of him, he does look solid, but it's not enough for me to make an informed decision. Another goalkeeper that's recently come up on my radar, like I'm any fucking kind of scout, but like Boca, a goalkeeper that we've let go, but he seems to be doing pretty well over there in France. Keep an eye on Martin Boca. He's at Nice.
Oh, is that tall guy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Tall. Yeah. Okay.
We let him go in a free transfer. Obviously, then there's the other bait name, Mike Maignan as well. But I haven't really been watching AC Milan that much recently. But he was a name that I was very interested in. In terms of centre back, obviously we've got Thiago Silva going now.
Chalobah, that one as well, bro. Listen, for me, this is an ideal squad player that you want, man. Most of the time he can stay fit. He's reliable as well. I know he's got a little bit of a bozo moment, but again, you know, he can be quite reliable. And like we've seen, bro, for me, since the injury, his ball playing ability has actually improved as well. That's one thing that I said Disasi had over him in terms of just playing out from the back. Yeah. But for me, overall, Chalobah is better than Disasi. But for obvious reasons,
100%.
The only problem is obviously straight profit. He's most likely going to get sold. That's the thing. And there's going to be many teams interested in him because Bayern Munich wanted him. Then obviously he got injured, bro. And now I won't be surprised if there'll be Premier League clubs up onto him as well. So that one there is going to be, you know, it's going to be a bit shit because I'd rather keep him, to be honest. I'd be happy keeping him, but
I would as well.
You know what I mean? But what centre back would you bring in then? Because we definitely need to bring in at least one centre back, bro.
Well, we're gonna need to bring in two. For me, again, I'm not pulling any punches. For me, I would be going to Inter Milan and I'd be saying, listen, bring me Bastoni. What do you want for this guy? I need Bastoni. I know he's a left-footed centre-back. I know, but for me, he's an absolute quality centre-back. And that's another player, again, like two seasons ago or so, I was talking about him. And he's developing pretty well. I would love to bring him back as a shout-out, but
seen that a few times as well, man. Marquinhos, listen, I'll be real. I haven't really watched PSG like that, but people that do, they haven't really been raving on about.
Impressed. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But I think if we bring in a Bastoni or somebody who's got that bit of experience, then it makes sense to look at some of the young centre backs that we've been looking at. I mean, we already know Lenny Yoro is most likely going to Real Madrid. He looks like a fairly promising centre back.
Young as well, bro. Yeah, you're talking about the young in a young environment. We need more than that.
But this is obviously on the condition that we sign somebody who's got experience and whose age who's a bit older as well. But if we're talking about some of the young centre backs, Diomande is one that I would definitely consider bringing in. If his
How about
price,
Tosin? You're not too sold on Tosin at the barrel.
no, he's good. No, he's good. And you see the thing is with Tosin as well is obviously he's played in the Premier League, so we know what to expect from him. For he's as well as his defending, his ball distribution is brilliant. I think he's very technical in that sense. So I'd be happy with him. Centre mid, I'd be willing to give chances to what we have right now, but I still do feel that
centre mid though, man.
You've
got guys like Santos to come back, bro. You've got Leslie to come back. You've got Lavia to come back. And that's not a position that I'm looking at, and thinking we need to bring in.
Exactly. It's not overly a priority. But if they were to tell me, listen, who would you want in there? I've already said Barella. That's somebody who, for me, is top quality, experience, has played at the highest level, has won trophies as well. So that would be the only type of profile of midfielder that I would want.
Left back, bro. Left back. Who you say? Because this is a guy that I've spoken to CB about this. But we definitely need to do a show together. We're definitely going to do a transfer show together. Speaking about all these options and that. And like I said, I've got a little plug, so I'll tell you about it after. But like I said, left back, bro. For me, I want to bring in Kirkes, innit?
I like Kirkes. I do like Kirkes. I think he's got bags of potential as well. Young Bournemouth left back. And this is a name that's not really mentioned too much. And some people say, oh, he's more of a left wing back, but he has done a job at left back. I've seen it happen. I like Riquelme from Atletico Madrid. I really like him. I think he's a good player. But you already know with Atletico Madrid, once they get players, it's very hard to get them away from Atletico Madrid because of the level of respect that coach commands, man.
Big up, Stel. Stel, we can see you in the chat, my bro. But I think you've missed the little Poch section, man. That's why you joined the stream a little bit late. But we've given Poch his credit. But we've basically said, listen, you can't act as if Poch was, doing what he's doing now, because he wasn't, and that's what we was telling you. So you need to hold that, because it's very clear to see the changes that this guy's made, and you kept trying to, convince us that he was doing a good job when he really wasn't, bro. You know what I'm saying? You got Hussam in there as well saying apologize. No, you need to apologize, because I told you that these players are not as bad as what you're making it out, innit? You know what I'm saying? These men are trying to cook me today, but let me just let you lot know that Poch has not done a good job this season. It's only now he's deciding to go back to what he had in pre-season, But striker, bro, just to finish off, striker option. Who's your one?
There's two more positions, striker and winger. I think Raheem Sterling definitely needs to go 100%. I would love to see on that left side. I mean, we're not going to get all these players on that left side. I'd love to see a Nico Williams come in. On that right side, I
haven't really seen anything on that side about.
Joe Shields does like him, so we have to see what happens there, and obviously it depends on sales as well. On that right side, we've already spoken about Olise. Striker for me has got to be Gyökeres. That would be my first choice, 100%. 100%. He'd be my first choice. I'd prefer him to Osimhen for the pure reason that this guy is a very rounded centre forward, very rounded striker. You know what I mean? He can create opportunities for himself. He's very technical on the ball, dribbles very well, can bring others into play very well, and he's deadly in front of goal. And this is a player that I know prior to him moving to Sporting. My stepdad has been a Coventry fan for over 50 years. So, I do watch Coventry from time to time because of him. Do you know what I mean? And last season, him and Gustavo Harmer absolutely lit up the championship. And I was quite surprised that one of the Premier League clubs didn't go in for Gyökeres. But now you're starting to see his quality over in Portugal. I know people say, well, it's the Portuguese league. Personally, I don't think it's a fluke. I think that he would actually come into England and score quite a few goals. Very talented striker, him. But if we were to go and get Osimhen as well, I wouldn't be too disappointed. I just don't rate him as highly as perhaps.
Yeah, he's overrated. That's the thing, innit? He is, man. But listen, Guni, just to wrap up, man. Let everyone know where they can find you, my bro, man. Listen, love for coming on, like I said. But yeah, let them know where they can find you, my bro.
No worries. People, obviously, you guys know I've got the channel Man Knows Football, but because of just how my work life is and just life in general, I haven't had time to upload on there. Perhaps at some point I will. So if you want to give that channel a follow, you can. But in the meantime, you'll find me on platforms like Don's channel. You'll find me on Saeed's channel, Lee Gunner, Man, I'm so bad. Dan Potts as well. Sorry, Dan, I forgot your name for a second. So you'll find me on several different channels. I'll be floating here, there, and everywhere where I've got the time. I always love to talk football, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled. And the most important thing is support your content creators, man. Doesn't take anything to smash the like button, to subscribe. Make sure you're doing that on this channel as well, because there's going to be a lot of more engaging conversations such as this one on Don's channel. So make sure you do that.
Yeah, big up, man. And listen, we're gonna have Guni on again for sure, man. I enjoyed that conversation, man. But listen, people, as always, make sure that you're smashing up the likes, subscribe as always, and listen, up the Chels, man. We keep pushing. Let's go.
100%.